Last night, we introduced you to a gang of grifters accused of murdering and robbing a 74-year-old Palm Springs man.
Tonight, we take you inside the night. Prosecutors say Cliff Lambert was killed and how the so-called team of conspirators almost got away with it all in part 2 of Web of Greed. They called it Operation Craigslist, Operation CL for short, code for Cliff Lambert. On December 5th, 2008, prosecutors say a group of 5 men conspired to murder 74-year-old Palm Springs retiree Cliff Lambert and rob him of all of his assets. The lineup of suspects involved in this caper are as compelling as the crime itself. The self-professed con man known as the Dark Prince, Coachella Valley, the well-known lawyer, David Replogle, his tech-savvy former client, Daniel Garcia, the San Francisco bartender, Miguel Bustamante, and his roommate, Craig McCarthy. But this drama, seemingly custom-made for Hollywood, is anything but fiction. The reality continues to unfold every day inside a Riverside County courtroom. According to the prosecution and witness testimony, these are the details surrounding the murder and robbery of Cliff Lambert. In early December, Lambert received a call from a man who called himself Samuel Oren.
This is Samuel Oren. I'm waiting for him for 9:13 California time tomorrow evening.
Oren said he was an estate lawyer from New York and that Lambert was eligible for a large inheritance. But in reality, Samuel Oren was actually Coachella Valley. On December 2nd, Narula came down to Palm Springs, but he didn't come alone. He was accompanied by Miguel Bustamante and his roommate, Craig McCarthy. On December 5th, Narula went to Lambert's house for cocktails. While inside his home, Narula let Bustamante and McCarthy in through the back door. Prosecutors say Bustamante stabbed Clifford Lambert to death with a kitchen knife. According to court documents, Narula, Bustamante, and McCarthy wrapped Lambert's body in bedding, stuffed him in the back of his Mercedes. Then McCarthy and Bustamante drove to Fontana. Detectives believe the 2 men buried Lambert in a shallow grave in a remote area near Fontana, but his body has never been found. With Lambert out of the picture, the financial crime began. On December 6, 2008, the day after Cliff Lambert's disappearance, Daniel Garcia began using Lambert's credit cards. Garcia introduced attorney David Replogle to Coachella Valley years before the caper. Replogle confessed to forging Cliff Lambert's signature and thumbprint on his financial documents to give Narula access to the dead man's assets. According to court documents, in less than a month, Narula and Garcia drained over $200,000 from Cliff Lambert's bank accounts, stole his valuables, and attempted to sell his $1 million home for $800,000. It was all going as planned: the murder, the draining of the accounts, the deed to the home. Until January 7th, when neighbors noticed someone outside Lambert's home loading all of his valuables onto a U-Haul truck. That someone was Miguel Bustamante, the man prosecutors say stabbed Cliff Lambert to death. Police arrested and charged him with burglary and theft, and that's when the dominoes began to fall. It didn't take long in jail before prosecutors say Bustamante confessed everything to a fellow inmate who traded his testimony for a lighter sentence. Bustamante gave him a detailed description of the murder, and he named names. By the summer of 2009, all 5 suspects were in jail. Coachella Valley, Daniel Garcia, David Replogle, Miguel Bustamante, and Craig McCarthy, all facing multiple charges including murder, robbery, and grand theft, all eligible to spend the rest of their lives behind bars. But detectives still needed more evidence. Cliff Lambert's body was still missing, until one day they got a break. A confession. Craig McCarthy, the ex-Marine and nursing student with no criminal record, confessed to killing Clifford Lambert and burying his body in a shallow grave. He pled guilty to manslaughter and other lesser charges and was sentenced to 25 years and 4 months in prison. In exchange for the lighter sentence, he gave a detailed account of the murder, which prosecutors say was eerily similar to what Bustamante told his cellmate. Miguel Bustamante and David Replogle are currently on trial for the murder of Clifford Lambert. Daniel Garcia and Coachella Valley are representing themselves and await their jury trial hearing in January.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Through the drama in the courtroom, relationships within the group of suspects slowly began to emerge. John Patrick Dolan represents David Replogle.
Every person in this scenario is a character with all kinds of interesting things going on. And the interplay between all these characters is just so complex.
According to Dolan, Replogle found out about the murder a few days after Lambert was left in a shallow grave. And Narula forced him to impersonate Lambert and forge financial documents.
Well, what he said is that unless I signed the powers of attorney, those people, they knew where my mother lived, and that my life was in danger, and they'd come after me. And that actually, what he said is they would kill me in front of my partner. And that was even worse than just killing me, frankly.
KMIR 6 News asked David Replogle why he didn't notify the authorities.
And if somebody's out to hurt you, there's nothing that police can do.
Dolan is confident the jury will see his client as another one of Narula's victims, not a vulture.
Not a penny will be shown to be received by Mr. Replogle from this scheme.
Meanwhile, Daniel Garcia believes the prosecution misrepresented his relationship with Clifford Lambert.
No, I had absolutely nothing to do with Mr. Lambert's disappearance. There's a lot more to the dynamics of our relationship than simply, we met once online. And I had extensive records of emails and phone calls where we talked for hours on end about all the problems in his life. I was really a shoulder for him to cry on and someone to confide in.
Garcia even believes Lambert may still be alive. Prosecutors maintain they have the evidence to back up their charges.
In order to take over everything Clifford Lambert is, was, and had, they erased him.
December 5th, 2010 will mark the 2-year anniversary of Cliff Lambert's disappearance.
But it's a shame this guy doesn't have more people speaking for him, because he's such a nice person, and to go down without some kind of recognition is terrible.
4 men accused of taking everything from Cliff Lambert remain in jail cells waiting for the jury to seal their fate in what's being called one of the most complex cases in Riverside County history. No matter what the verdicts are, there is no happy Hollywood ending to this dramatic saga.
If you're convicted in all of this, what if it doesn't go the way that you want it to go?
Well, frankly, I haven't thought of that.
Most of the big cases that I've handled are a chapter in a book. This one is a book on its own.
For more on KMIR 6's exclusive report, Web of Greed, go to our website, KMIR6.com.